Hi, this is a review of the order trading system activity for January the 12th, 2022. We had 6 trades on that day. 4 were buys and 2 were short sells. First trade was ENPH, and that's Enphase Energy Incorporated. It tripped at 12:21:48 p.m. at a price of 150.53. It was a buy. It closed the day at 149.28, up 0.52%, and closed or after hours was up 0.15%. Okay, 12:21. So roughly around here, it did come up. It hit a peak of 152.27. It looks like here 151.40, so it was above. Yeah, 155.66. So around 2 o'clock. Yeah, 2 o'clock. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, no, I had another peak here. Okay. And that's where it dropped off. So we can say roughly around 240 is where it was still above its tripping price. So from around 12:21 to 240, so we're talking a good 2 hours of where it was positive above the stripping price. So that's potential. Makes it look like it's positive. OBV looks good. It came up and stayed up. MACD came up and stabilized, and the averages stayed up after it peaked. DI is a little bit different. You can see DI peaked and then came down. It looked like from the activity here, it may have been moving sideways a bit. It ended the day moving a little bit negative, which we see here. Look, it came up and started to trail off, so it had its peak, but afternoon period looks like it was trailing off, moving a bit negative for the day. Next trade is HIVE. That's Hive Blockchain Technologies Limited, tripped at 12:36:40 p.m. at a price of 254. It was a buy. It closed the day at 253, up 4.98% and up to 7.79% after hours. We see here it looks like it started moving sideways, obviously, at 12:36. So roughly around here, it did come up. 255. Strange, this one says 255. It's just because it's very low stock, so. Yeah. So it looks like around 126 it started to go down below its tripping price, but at least it stabilized around there. So 120, 230. So we're talking a good hour where it was above its tripping price on a regular basis. So that's another positive, even though the stock itself, just from the price activity, it shows that it probably was moving sideways right after that period. And we see volume came up and then came down sideways. MACD came up, went down a bit, moved sideways. DI came up, stayed up, and then you can see here bouncing back and forth between positive and negative on the DI. And Bollinger Band did that same thing. It came up here, and it does show somewhat a bit of a sideways movement. So that stock ended the day sideways. Next trade is Docu. That's DocuSign Incorporated. Tripped at 12:38:10 p.m. at a price of 140.04. It was a buy. Closed the day at 139.25, down 2.03% and down 0.04% after hours. So 12:38. It looks like this one here also moved sideways after it jumped up. 40.55. 165, 140, 47, 140, 78, 140, 32. So we can see here the price was still above its tripping price around 252. So 12:30 to 250, talking 2.5 hours here where it was above its tripping price multiple times. So that's a positive. So I'll leave it at that. But it looks like the stock though was moving a bit sideways just from the price activity. Volume came up, at least it came up multiple times, so volume was jumping up and down. MACD came up, stabilized, moved sideways. DI came up, and you can see here it's bouncing back and forth. A little bit negative at the end of the day, and that's somewhat what's going on. Bollinger Band came up, moved sideways for a good portion of the afternoon, and you can see late afternoon it started moving negative a little bit. So the stock somewhat ended its day moving a little negative. Next trade is Ctra. That's Kotera Energy Incorporated, tripped at 1:35:02 p.m. at a price of $22.26. It was a buy. It closed the day at 22.54, up 6.07% and up 0.04% after hours. That's another positive. And we'll take a look at the indicators for that. You see volume came up right around when it tripped and dropped then down, so this came down. MACD was up, stabilized a little bit, so average just stayed up a bit. DI looks good. It came up in the early afternoon, stayed up pretty much all afternoon, and then closed positive. You can see Bollinger Band came up for roughly early afternoon. It came up, started moving up continually, so that stock, was moving positive. Next trade is JPM. That is JPM Morgan Chase and Company, tripped at 2:05:12 p.m. at a price of 167.27. It was a short sell. It closed the day at 168.44, up 0.57%, down 0.05% after hours, but still it's above 205. Yeah, so look, we caught it right here, right at a low point, and you see it recovered. So it tripped, and right after it tripped, it recovered. So you can see overview showed that it was moving down, and right around tripping time, it recovered again. Same thing, MACD tripped here and then recovered. DI, same thing, tripped here, recovered. Bollinger tripped here, recovered. So this stock ended the day positive, even though it tripped on a negative downward trend. Next trade is QCOM. QCOM. That's Qualcomm Incorporated, tripped at 3:10:05 p.m. at a price of 185.36. It was a short sell. It closed the day at 186.42, up 0.55%, up 0.12% after hours. So another strange stock, but this thing happened, the same type of thing. We caught it when it jumped or dropped here by amount, which caused it to trip. But looks like right after it tripped, it recovered. Volume came down early afternoon and then stabilized, and we happened to catch it here while it was jumping up and down. MACD actually shows it more concretely, where it came down around that time, then it recovered. So I just came down. Same thing with DI, came down and then recovered a little bit. Ended a little bit negative, but Bollinger Band shows the same thing. It did come down, but it recovered. So the stock was moving positive by the end of the day. So that's 6 stocks, 4 positives, 2 negatives. So that's 4 out of 6 possibility-wise, 67% for both positive and possible. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.